Ma'am, please put down the sword.
That's Captain Carter.
The war ended almost 70 years ago.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Marvel What If video for that Avengers post-credit scene, the ending, teasing what's going on with Captain Carter next. There's a whole bunch of multiverse stuff that they're setting up with this ending scene because she's going to be crossing over with a bunch of other multiverse characters soon. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. I will be doing videos for all the episodes this season, and we're doing that Disney Plus giveaway for memberships. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and let me know which other big What If episodes you want them to do in the future. Careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet because we'll be talking about everything. So at the end of What If Episode 1, they combined the ending of the first Captain America movie because the whole episode was based on a different version of the Captain America movie plot, but they were combining the ending for Red Skull, Captain America, and the Avengers post-credit scene from that movie. In the movie, Steve Rogers disappears from the public for 70 years because he winds up going into the ice. Red Skull got teleported to Vormir by the Tesseract, the Space Stone, and then Captain America is found by S.H.I.E.L.D., unfrozen, and Nick Fury has to give him the business about what he missed the last 70 years. We won the war. Then he recruits him to join the Avengers, which he's putting together for the first time. So Steve Rogers, Captain America, became the first Avenger to be born to get his origin story earlier in the timeline, but he also became the first Avenger to formally join the team. So the title of Episode 1 was What If Captain Carter Became the First Avenger? But the whole idea is that the ending of Episode 1 is a little bit bigger than what it seems like because there's this multiverse element at play that they don't really tell you about right away on the show. Jeffrey Wright's Watcher Uatu specifically mentions the multiverse when he's doing the outro for the episode, but they kind of bury the lead in this Avengers post-credit scene here. But the whole idea at the end of the episode is that they combine the Red Skull Captain America ending and she disappears for 70 years, but it's because the Tesseract seemingly teleports her through time and space to the events of the very beginning of the first Avengers movie in 2012. Whereas in the Avengers movie, it was Loki who showed up in this scene at the other end of that portal. "Sir, please put down the spear," as he was holding the scepter. There were a lot of other things that were different in that scene because in the original Sacred Timeline version of things, calling the Infinity Saga the Sacred Timeline, the way the Loki showrunner was talking about it, events played out very differently. So like you had Eric Selvig here who was messing with the Tesseract, although he wasn't the one who opened the portal. They were just experimenting on it and it just mysteriously opened a portal. So because events played out a little bit differently in Captain Carter's universe, that's why you're not seeing Eric Selvig here in present day. Like, there are other minor differences, obviously, they don't get into because it's just meant to be this WTF scene. Like, wait a minute, 70 years later, what happened? But then the Watcher gives his outro speech about how Captain Carter's one little choice at the beginning of the episode gave birth to a new hero for the multiverse. And he's very careful to say multiverse. That gets into future episodes in the scenes where you see her crossing over with the other multiverse versions of the Avengers, the Guardians of the Multiverse as they're calling them. But at least right here in this Avengers scene, Nick Fury then would recruit her to this universe's version of the Avengers, which pays off the whole title of the episode, What If Captain Carter Became the First Avenger? Now we know Hawkeye is there, he's being played by Jeremy Renner on the show. Presumably there are versions of most of the other original Avengers in this universe. When I said that they kind of buried the lead with this Avengers WTF scene here, Uatu calls her a new hero of the multiverse because this version of Captain Carter will be the version who joins the Watchers Guardians of the Multiverse team and show up in future seasons. Whereas not every single character that we see during What If Season 1 is going to come back during Season 2. But this is also why, in that previous trailer, the Watcher is narrating about time and space not being a linear path. He also says that at the beginning of the episode, when they do their version of the Loki scene with the Sacred Timeline splitting off into alternate timelines, alternate realities. It sounds like they're using Captain Carter's Nexus event here as the point of origin for the What If series, and her actions leading to the creation of all these other branch timelines, alternate realities that we'll visit during the next several episodes. You have to imagine during the Loki finale that when we're looking at the Sacred Timeline here bursting with the branching timelines, one of these major branches represents the What If episodes, starting with Captain Carter, Peggy Carter, and all the future episodes of What If are the smaller branches coming off of that major branch. So really the more accurate title for What If Episode 1 would be What If Captain Carter were the first Guardian of the Multiverse? Although not literally, because the true Guardian of the Multiverse in the cosmic sense is the Living Tribunal. We'll see how cosmic they get with the Marvel lore. Everyone was asking them, are you going to do X-Men? Are you going to do Fantastic Four? Are you going to do Deadpool? The only thing the showrunner said is that they weren't allowed to do characters that Marvel had not introduced yet in the movies, which includes the brand new X-Men characters. Deadpool has not shown up in the MCU yet. Even though Deadpool just did that big Korg crossover, which is technically him inside the MCU, Ryan Reynolds said that Disney had to approve that, like they had to go through this big approvals process. Technically, it doesn't count for the purposes of what they're doing with the Marvel Disney Plus stuff. And they haven't officially done the Living Tribunal in the MCU movies or the Disney Plus series yet. You may remember a couple years ago after Avengers Endgame came out that the writers did say there was a deleted scene of the Living Tribunal that almost made it into Avengers Infinity War. If you don't remember, there was this cool Comic-Con panel that the writers of Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame did after the movies came out, where they explained this massive roadmap of stories, ideas, things that they compiled while they were planning both of the movies. And one of the biggest cosmic scenes that didn't make the final cut was that during the battle on Titan, when Doctor Strange, the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy were all fighting Thanos, one of Doctor Strange's boss-level moves was to send Thanos on a fantastic voyage of the multiverse the same way the Ancient One did for him in the Doctor Strange movie. And at the end of that, he was going to take Thanos to be judged by the Living Tribunal for crimes against the universe. But that was just a little too extra for the movie because it was already a huge movie. It just required too much extra dialogue to explain for people who were not comic book readers and who had no idea who the Living Tribunal was. So they're like, okay, we'll just cut this out. We'll save this for some future movie to take care of. The funny thing about that is that future movie wound up being the Loki series. During Loki episode 5, you see the head of a statue that represents the Living Tribunal. That doesn't mean that this was actually the Living Tribunal. It just means that it was a statue representing the Living Tribunal. The other really big question that I saw a lot of people asking after episode 1 in this Avengers scene was how Captain Carter wound up time traveling here to the events of the Avengers movie. Like, how did she time travel if the Space Stone is only supposed to teleport you through space, not time? I think there are 3 basic ways you could explain this. One, the showrunners could just be playing it fast and loose with the powers of the Space Stone, saying that it can open portals through time and space, not just space. 2, they could be using the idea of time dilation in the way the Tesseract portals work. Like through the process of her traveling in this particular portal, moments might pass for her, but in normal space-time, time passes much more quickly, and she just lost 70 years in transit. But for her, it only felt like a few seconds. And 3, this is less likely, but they could be secretly saying that the Tesseract portal opened a wormhole into another universe, and in that alternate universe that she traveled to, it was just moving at a different pace, a different part of the timeline. But at least right now, without the showrunners explaining more, my assumption is that it's a combination of 1 and 3. Like the showrunners are just playing it a little fast and loose with how things work because the episodes are only 30 minutes long and they need to speed run a lot of this plot. They need things to spin up into the multiverse stories really, really fast. There were a lot of comments about that after episode 1 as well. Like, wow, they really blew over a lot of these big plot points. The only reason why it seemed like it was so easy for her to become a super soldier and do all those things is just because the episode was so short and they needed to get to this Avenger scene moment at the end of the episode. Under normal circumstances, like you would just do a show about Captain Carter and you would spend the entire 9 episodes dealing with her becoming a super soldier, whereas here they did it in 30 minutes. But at least for the first couple of episodes, the way the show treats things, it's as if these different main characters that you see in the trailer all come from alternate universes. In the way the multiverse Loki-style explainer works, it all flows from Captain Carter's Nexus event. Like, she takes a different path and it leads to all these other branch realities coming off of it, these other timelines where you see the other characters showing up. I believe it's not till around episode 3 that they really start to get into the bigger questions and crossover stuff, which is actually about how they paced out the WandaVision episodes. WandaVision was a series that also had 9 episodes like What If, and it really wasn't until episodes 3 and 4 that they really started explaining things and they started to go off the rails, revealing what was really going on inside the Hex. Whereas the first couple of episodes were just more of a Twilight Zone situation where you're like, everything is weird, what's going on? We have no idea, is this Mephisto? So no, Mephisto is not the main villain of What If. For the most part, I believe they're just pitching final boss form Ultron with the Infinity Stones in Vision's body as the bigger villain of Season 1 right now. At least the biggest villain that we know about. There is technically all the Kang the Conqueror stuff and the Kang variants that are happening right now. They're really meant to be the big Marvel Phase 4 Thanos level threat. But I don't think that Kang is supposed to show up anywhere during the What If series. For those of you asking though, the reason why Kang is a bigger threat than Ultron with all 6 Infinity Stones in Vision's body is because using Alioth, Kang can consume multiple timelines, many alternate realities instantly. And for example, someone with the Infinity Gauntlet can change anything they want in a single universe with the snap of their fingers, but the Infinity Gauntlet only works in the universe that those Infinity Stones came from. That's one of the reasons why on Loki, the Infinity Stones are sitting in a drawer, because most of them come from a bunch of alternate timelines, alternate realities. Does anyone need an extra paperweight? So this version of Ultron on What If could not wipe out a bunch of alternate timelines over here on the other end of the sacred timeline. He could only affect his own timeline. A version of Kang could take Alioth and just chow down this entire larger branch of the multiverse, this major branch, and with it, many, many smaller alternate realities all at the same time. So he's a much, much bigger threat. He who controls Alioth controls the multiverse. That should also be one of the big takeaways from the Loki finale. But if you have any other questions about what's going on with What If, just leave them in the comments below. I'll do a What If Episode 2 trailer video tomorrow. There is so much stuff that just happened, so many videos that I'm working on right now, so I'll try to get those all out as quickly as possible. It is going to be a real awesome summer. Congratulations, Cat Jab, you're the giveaway winner from my last big What If episode video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Everyone click here for my full What If Episode 1 video, and click here to learn what's going on with Thanos during the What If series. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.